I said morning. Good morning. It's good to see you. I'm going to check and make sure that we are streaming live on the YouTube. Looks like we're connecting maybe. There we go. There we're connected. That's what we want. All right. Well, welcome to week 4 of September. We're going to go through everything these kids are learning in classes this week, and then we've got a couple housekeeping notes. Before we get started, just a reminder that our Monday classes are a week behind. So when we're saying week 4, we really mean Tuesday through Friday, kiddos. The Monday group, they will have your week 4 starting next week. Okay? I also want to note, everybody has class this week, but next week, there are no classes on Tuesday. And that is because 9:30 is the 5th Tuesday of the month. And we can't have Tuesday people having more classes than everybody else. So everybody on Tuesday gets the day off so that we all stay on track. The Monday crew is actually a 5th Monday as well, but remember we took off Labor Day. So in order to get 4 classes in, you guys are meeting next week. Next week on Wednesday starts all of the October curriculum. All right, let's talk through some of our preschool classes. This is our last week of September preschool classes. You guys, our media focus has been pastels. We've been doing a lot with circles and dots. We've been looking at the art of Kandinsky. This last week, we read a classic book by Peter H. Reynolds. We read The Dot, and we made dot art. We even framed it in gold, and then we also did some stamping on big sheets of construction paper, and we stamped white circles on black construction paper. This week, we're going to finish that. So we left those here in the studio, and then this week we're going to add some pastel colors on top of those, whether they're bubbles or marbles or circle prints, whatever they end up being in your creation, we're going to add color to those, and then they'll go home this week. Our book this week is It Fell from the Sky. It's written and illustrated by the Fan Brothers, and it's a story about a marble. It's got beautiful illustrations. Everything is black and white, and then the marble is what is in color. So enjoy that book. For our K-3 artists, you guys are doing these abstract shape party pictures inspired by the art of Laurent. Last week's class, we worked really hard to get all of our color down on the shapes. We also had a critique for the very first time, so ask your kids how that went. And then this week, we'll be dealing with what's called the negative space. So those space inside all of the shapes, the background, if you will, right? Whatever is like not a shape, that is what we're going to be dealing with. So we'll solve that problem. We'll be adding patterns to that. Before we get to class, probably anyway, I know at Liberty this is the plan, we're going to be removing that blue tape border off of all of the artwork and spraying all of the art with a fixative, so that way when the kids come in, they can just work in the little negative space and finish their artwork. We'll also have our very first time filling out the little art tags that we make for every finished piece of art in multimedia classes. This is a gallery tag that has information about the art. So it's going to have the artist's name, it's going to have the title of the artwork, the dimensions of the artwork, the media that has been used, and then the artist statement. And your kids will get a chance to fill that out. And we're going to do it every single month with a finished piece of art. This really helps us when we get to April and May, when it's art show time, and they're choosing their art to go on the art show, and they have to write an artist statement. They have some like familiarity with this. It isn't brand new for them. So we'll be filling those out. We know that a lot of our K-3s are early writers and early readers, and so we will be helping them a lot to get their ideas and thoughts out of their brain and onto their paper to label their artwork. For our 4th and 5th and our, oh wait, I have art. What am I doing? Miss Grace pulled art for me, so I've got art to show. Look! Now remember, I have a green screen, so anything that is super green, you're not going to see. Because it shows up as clear behind me, and you're going to see the slideshow through it. But, oh, this one has a lot of green on it. Look at all this great. So everything that is black, like plain paper, that's what's called the negative space. So we're going to be dealing with that and filling the negative space, solving the negative space in this week's class. And then this blue tape is what goes away. All right. Man, I'm glad I thought about that. Okay, here we go. Stop stream. No, I don't want to stop the stream. Just wanted to change the slideshow. I must have hit the wrong button. All right. Okay, so our 4th and 5th in our homeschools. Remember, we're making these really great, bold, food or snack inspired, pop art inspired artworks out of chalk pastels. They're working on black paper, and everybody picked their different subject matter. So I want to show some examples that we have kind of in progress. They all have different styles. So some are very graphic, okay, very illustrative and very graphic, and others are a little bit more realistic. This would be another one that is very graphic and illustrative in style. Here's one that is more realistic. Get a piece of sushi. Here's another one that's more realistic. Let's pull this one up. This is actually the one from the photograph. I don't know if you're going to see it. It's so green. Never mind. I won't even bother. But you can see it in the photograph, right? They did an avocado, and that's much more realistic than some of the other ones. You'll notice most of the kids have focused primarily on their subject, on what the art is about, leaving everything in the background, everything in the negative space unsolved. And so we still have to do that. That'll be something that happens in this week's class in finishing. We'll also work to get details in. So your highlights, your shadows, the areas that you want to pop, and then if there's any areas that need a more saturated layer of color, we'll do that. These will get sprayed with a fixative and then finished with a matte, which is just a pre-cut 11 by 14 inch matte. The 4th and 5th in homeschool also fill out gallery tags. So again, name, like your artist name, the title of the artwork, the dimensions of the artwork, the medium that was used, and then your artist statement. And what we tell the kids is the artist statement is what you would want your viewers to know about this piece if you're not there to tell them. And it can be what you learned doing it. It can be why you chose this subject. It can be what you would do differently, your favorite part of it. You could tell them a story. But what would you, as an artist, what would you tell people about your art? So that'll be a fun thing for them to do. And we'll spend a good chunk of our time doing those artist statements for the first time, even though a lot of these kids, it will not be their first time if they're returning Orange Easel students. Okay, let's try to flip the slideshow without stopping this broadcast. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Oh, I wonder. Hang on. Okay. Well, hopefully. We'll just have to click no. All right, so 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th, the multimedia classes are doing oil pastels, and their subject is birds. They get to choose, like, what type of bird they want to do. I love this picture of everybody sitting here and working so studiously on their birds and solving their background. They are on white paper, not on black paper. So here's some really great examples of some bird art. You can see areas in the background that are smooth and painterly, and then areas of the background that still you can see the paper through. So we're going to work on getting that covered. One of the things that we can do as we get close to the end of the project with oil pastels is, in chalk pastels, we're just blending like with our fingers or with Q-tips. In oil pastels, we can actually use baby oil. You can also, I grew up using like a solvent, using like a turpentine, but for brain cells reasons, we don't do that here at the studio. We just use a baby oil to kind of break down that binding agent with the pigment and turn it into oil paints. So we can do that with our artwork once we have enough of a level. Notice everything that is green you can't see, but you can see the bird. Let's see what else. Here's a good one. This one's a duck. I love all of their different compositions. Right, so some of our birds are like really zoomed in. Some of them are more set into the middle. This one again has a really, really green background to it. Right, this one's sitting on a like branch. So the kids in our oldest classes, they will also be finishing this week. So they're going to solve their background, finish everything, get it matted, and then write their artist statements. Okay, so easy peasy week for them. I'm checking my notes. I'm also hesitant to hit my button to go to my next slide. I just have to hit it gently, apparently. All right, creative explorations. So this is our station-based learning where we are exploring pretty much all the curriculum of the studio in kind of a station format. So we pull from all sorts of things. You'll see we've got chalk pastels, we've got some art history, we've got circle art from our fundamentals, we've got sensory bins, we've got stuff from our drawing classes that we're pulling in, but everything is set up for the kids just to explore and to create and however they would like to. So you can see we've got an artist here from our creative explorations class who is enjoying an oil pastel. We switched from chalk pastels to oil pastels this week on our media focus table. These lamps here, a lot of times in our explorations class, we set it up in a low light environment. It just kind of changes the mood of the studio, and it's fun. So you'll see these lamps used a lot, and just to kind of set the zones. We get them from Amazon, and they're amazing. They're chargeable, like LED touch lamps. They're so great. Drawing 101. All right, so this slide is here, and you'll see there's no pictures because I could not find a picture that I liked from Drawing 101 class this week, but I did find a video. So I'm going to show you a video in a second. But first, I'm going to show you glass pens. Last week, our Drawing 101 classes, you guys, they worked with glass pens and Sumi ink. And so some people were like, what is a glass pen? And I'm like, it is exactly what it sounds like. These are glass pens. Look at those. And they sound like glass pens. Yep, they're breakable like glass pens. And they hold ink. Believe it or not, if I dip this in an inkwell, it's got these little ridges up the glass that hold an ink. And then you can use it to write with, almost like a calligraphy nib. So we have all of our glass pens that our kids got to use. And I'm going to show you a video of them doing that. So give me a second to switch to it. This is from Wednesday night's Drawing 101 class. I'm going to move over this way. I hopefully play on a loop. I tried to set it to play on a loop. There we go. So you see we twirl it in the little ink cup, let it like draw up into those grooves, and then they're actually drawing in their sketchbook. And I brought some examples of their sketchbook drawings so you can see. Isn't that fun? All right, I'm going to let that play in the background while I go ahead and pull out some of this work. So these are different portraits that some of our kids did, and you see like the little lesson label is here. Now they had the choice to use glass pens, or we had straw nibs, or we had brushes. So really it was a chance for them to explore different mark making tools and to work from their imagination, because remember, artists work from imagination and they work from observation. And with our Drawing 101 class, we want to make sure that we're giving them opportunities to do both. In our realistic 102 and 103 level, we're always working from observation. In our, or just about always, almost always. And then in our 102 and 103 illustrative, we're always pretty much using our imaginations and drawing from pictures in our brain. So this was a couple different, our subject was people, but it wasn't necessarily like self-portrait. It was just any person or character that you wanted to draw using these mark-making tools. So you can see all the different marks that we were able to create using the ink. Even though we've got a very wet painterly media here, right? It is still used as a drawing, right? We're just using it as a mark making and a drawing instead of as a painting. Very line focused. All right, let me get back to my slideshow. There, okay, and then we should be able to, ooh, look at that, smooth. All right, oh, I should mention, okay, so for my Drawing 101s this week, because we did this Sumi ink lesson, and then this coming week, we're going to go back to a portraiture lesson. We've been very people-focused. This month, it's a familiar subject for everybody. We have pictures, photographs of people, and we've split them in half so that you only see half the face. And we're going to be talking about what symmetry is, and working both sides of the brain. We'll warm up with some two-handed drawing. But we're going to be mirroring that photograph. And so the photograph is on one side, and then we will draw the other side as a symmetrical drawing, and then they'll be using a new media. We try to introduce all the first mediums in the first month, and so we're gonna be going to color pencils and learning how to like layer them and blend them and that kind of stuff. All right, Drawing 102s. So I've got, of course, two different types of Drawing 102 classes. I have both my illustrative and my realistic, and so I've got them here. That's 103. That's not what I want. There's 102. Okay. So 102 illustrative, they were working with colored pencils. Remember, this is our this is our technical month. We're teaching skills, very technical skills, that we expect to see in every single lesson. So from here on out, once we get through the month, like we're hoping to see when we, let's say, hair, because we're going to do some character development and we're going to do hair, right? So when we're doing that, then we want obviously you to do the lesson, but we also want to still see line weight and color. And so we're applying the things that we're learning this month to those lessons: values, line weight, color, finishing, that kind of stuff. So we've already done line weight, we've already done value, then we did alcohol ink markers, which for not everybody is really super familiar with those. So we learned some techniques to use those correctly, and then we did color pencils this last week. So you think, oh, I already know how to color with colored pencils, Allison. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, coloring is coloring, right? But there are technically good ways to color and technically poor ways to color. There's ways that take good care of our materials in the studio and ways that are hurtful and they, you know, kind of limit the lifespan of the materials. And so we're teaching those skills. We're also showing them specifically what we have so that they know what they have to use. So with the Prismacolor colored pencils that we have, we also have blending colored pencils, and we learned how to use those, how to mix colors, how to layer colors, how to burnish them, that kind of stuff. So the subject matter for these lessons this whole month has kind of been like whatever you want to color, whatever you want to draw. I just want you to apply the techniques, and then moving forward, it will be you draw what I tell you to draw and apply the techniques. So here's some examples of some of the colored pencil work that we've done. You can see the value shift here, as well as the chroma shift that's happening in the colors. It's done by layering colored pencils. Right here, it goes from dark, kind of a chocolate cool brown, to a lighter warm brown, to a light tan. And that's what we're looking for in our colored pencils. Okay, so that's a good example of that. Next week, this week for week 4 in our illustrative, we have our very first wild card week. And so then this is where the kids will choose their own adventure, essentially. They can go back and revisit a lesson. They can get help on something that they're struggling with. They can work on something that was really passionate to them in an environment where they're supported by peers and an instructor. Most of our kids will choose to finish a drawing that they were really, really passionate about in a lesson, and they ran out of time in class. Sometimes they get help on something they're struggling with, but usually it's something they're already really good at and they want to finish it, and that's fine too. So this will be the first of our wildcard lessons, and we will have a wildcard lesson in the 4th of every class. Okay. For our realistic kids, on my lap, found it. They did a self-portrait, and they also worked with colored pencils. And so they also learned how to blend colors, right? Because faces have lots of different colors in them. We looked in mirrors and we drew from life. So I look in a mirror, I see what I look like, I draw what I look like. We drew first in pencil, and then we used colored pencils to try to get all those skin tones, warm, cool, variations of hues, shadows, highlights, everything that's going on in our face. Now there isn't usually one colored pencil that I can do my whole face with. So we're also learning to blend them and to mix them on the paper. So lots of great stuff happening in our portraits. This artist here this is her 2nd year through drawing 102 realistic. Not everybody gets it on the first year. It's designed to be repeated, and we see improvements year over year over year. Not just because of lessons, although we'd like to take a little bit of credit for the lessons, but mostly because your kids practice so much and they work so hard. And just like any other skill, the more you practice, the more you do it, the better you get. So, all right. Let's see. This week in 102 Realistic, so I showed you their portraits. This week in 102 Realistic, we're going to be moving into one of the more difficult lessons that we do every year. It is a linear perspective lesson, and we are going to be drawing interior rooms and setting materials and furniture and things into an interior room that follows the rules of linear perspective. So we're looking at 1-point and 2-point perspective and learning how that works. So this is a lesson that we revisit every year, multiple times a year, because it's one that is tricky. It's a very math-oriented lesson. Kids love it or they hate it. Either way, you got to know it. So that's what we're doing in our realistic class. Drawing 103 classes, so I brought a couple examples. Oh, I found another 102 example. You want to see it? This is a 102 example. This is the colored pencils. Again, look at this amazing gradient that happens from this cool blue shadow. So good. All right, so 103. Let's do them really quick. So my 103 illustrative, they're setting characters on a streetscape. It should be a group of characters, and we're looking for kind of a jelly bean style characters. Most of them have their inking done. Right, so next week, like this week coming up, we're hoping they can get some color in there. Good stuff. This is linear perspective, by the way, in the background, if anybody's curious. This is a 2-point linear perspective. For my 103 realistic people, they are doing portraiture with charcoal, and they're working from photo references, and we chose celebrity portraits. So this is a photograph. This is not a drawing, but here is the drawing that goes with it. So you can see we're working on getting all of those values in there accurately. The placement of the facial features was something we focused really heavily on, because if you don't get the eyeball in the right place, or if you have too much negative space between the eye and the nose, right, it no longer looks like that person. So accuracy really, really matters in portraiture, so it looks like who we think it's supposed to look like. There's another really great example. This is the photograph, and this is the corresponding picture. We're doing so good. So the kids will be putting on their finishing touches of both 103 illustrative and 103 realistic finishes touches for these projects. We will get them fixed if they need to be fixed with a workable fixative, and we'll get them into mat boards, and they will also write artist statements just like our multimedia kiddos. If they don't finish, right, because you think really that, let's see, they 6 hours, right, of class that they have, you think that's enough time to finish a drawing, but it really isn't when you're working from conception to like finished drawing. Now, all of that 6 hours is not active drawing time, because when we start our month, we're really working on like sketching and thumbnails and working through composition ideas. So, but either way, it's not always the right amount of time for everybody, depending on the speed in which you work, how much you struggled in the early stages, if you had to start over. It just happens, and that is okay. Like, that is not a bad thing. Actually, I would argue that's a really good thing. So if they need more time, a couple options. One is, of course, you always are welcome to come in for makeups, because both studios offer makeup time, so additional studio time, where you would come in outside of your class for more time to work. More than happy to do that. Some of our kids, they're like, I only need like another 20 minutes. Like, I'm so close. Coming in just early might be an option. You can talk to me, you can talk to Miss Sarah, you can talk to your instructor about that. For a lot of our teachers who are, like they're teaching the class before yours as well, like if your 103 responsible artist wants to come in and do some studio time in the back of the classroom during that other class, we're totally fine with that. Just let us know so that we can be prepared, or pick a good week or that kind of stuff. Also, the other option, and I'll talk to my instructors about this, is for them to not necessarily move on right away to the October project, right? So if they come in next week for October's project and they still have 30 minutes worth of work to do on this guy, they can do that first and then move on to October, okay? Because it is so independent, that they can listen to what the concept is and the challenge is and the parameters are for the next project while working on this one, okay? This is the only class. This 103 class is the only one that really has that kind of flexibility to it. Also because they don't switch media, right? So our multimedia classes, when they finish a project, we can't do that because we don't have the chalk pastels out next month. Like, we got clay. It's totally different. I'm not getting the chalk pastels out, even if you only have 20 minutes left. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Okay. Send me a message. We'll work it out. I promise. All right, what else do we got? Where are my notes? Take a breath. Drink some coffee. That's what we need to do. Housekeeping. Here we go. No classes next Tuesday. So not this week. This week, everybody's here. Next week, next Tuesday, no class. It's the 5th Tuesday of the month, and we can't have Tuesdays running ahead of everybody else. So you can't have extra days. Sorry. So that we have a day off. Monday, it's also a 5th Monday, but we already took your day off. We took it off as Labor Day. Okay? For our students who are like, how do I even know, like, ahead of time that I'm not going to have class? I got you. So when you register and you go to the listing and you look and it's got like the date and the time and there's a little calendar icon. And if you click it, it'll show you the on days and the off days. All right. After you've registered, it's kind of hard to find that listing because it's still there, but it's pretty well hidden on the website because we don't do mid-semester enrollments through Sawyer. We do them manually. But the good news is inside your Sawyer account, Sawyer has populated a calendar based on your registrations. And so you have the ability to access that generated just for you or your family or your account. Okay. So what you'll do is you will go to, we have a For Current Students webpage, and it says like how to find your class schedule, and you just follow those instructions. If you're looking for the For Current Students webpage, it's linked in the footer of every Orange Easel webpage. So just scroll to the bottom of any Orange Easel webpage, any one of them, and it says For Current Students, makeups, class schedules, and more. That's the link you want. Sound good? All right. You can also, you can even export that calendar to your iCalendar or to your Google Calendar, and then it'll just populate right up there for you. It'll be great. There was something else. I know that Sawyer is sending, this is a new feature that they added just this year, in the last month or two. They added a feature where they will send you a summary of your classes on Sunday night. Some of you may have seen it. For some of you, it might go to their junk folder. I don't know. But Sawyer is a third-party registration software, and so they're always looking for ways to make, the customer experience better, to make us, we're one of their customers, you're one of our customers, but make all the customers' experiences better. And so the reminder emails come from them that's like, hey, these are your classes. If you ever want to toggle those off, if you go into your Sawyer account, you can change the notifications that you get from Sawyer. Okay? I would advise you not to toggle off the ones that, there's one that's about class communications or something like that. We don't use it often to send messages to a class roster until we get to weather. And then if we have weather, that's how we contact you. So if we have to close because of rain or ice or storms or power or whatever, we message the rosters. We don't message our entire email list, because if you're not in that class or that night or that day, it doesn't affect you. And we try not to clutter your inbox. And so we'll only message the roster. So don't toggle that off, because I'd hate for you to not get that communication. But you can toggle off those class reminders from Sawyer themselves, if that makes sense. If you have questions, let me know. Okay? And you would access that the same way you'd access your class schedule. So again, if you go to that For Current Students webpage and follow the instructions to get into your Sawyer account, you'll see a notification setting. Save the date. Our fall party is coming up for anyone who is enrolled in October classes. So not a lot of details on it yet, because we will talk about it once October starts, and I have my set class rosters for October people. But I do want you to save the date. This is a super fun, free event for our families. It's not a drop-off event. You don't bring your kid and leave. It's for you too, so parents and siblings can all come. It's BYOP, bring your own pumpkin. We'll have decorating stations. The instructors usually wear costumes. We encourage you not to wear costumes, because it is a making type event, and we don't want you to ruin your costume before Halloween. But we will be dressed in costumes. We serve hot dogs. We have a chili cook-off. We have prizes, and you get to decorate a pumpkin. So it's a fun, free event for our families who are enrolled in classes. So please join us. We would love to have you. Closer to time, once we get to October, there will be an RSVP, so I know how much food to buy and all of that stuff, okay? But for right now, just save the date. And then the last note is just a reminder, we are doing a couple Halloween classes at the end of the month. If you were planning on coming, don't wait too long. The preschool ones look like they still have plenty of room in them. Probably 8 or 7 spots still. The grade school ones are filling up fast. Those are the evening ones for the bigger kids. Okay, they're all black light. They're not all black light. So the preschool one has a black light component, but they're not all in the black light. But you can read the descriptions. They're on the special events page of the website. Sound good? Did I have anything else to tell you? I don't think there is. All right, everybody. I hope you have a really great week. I am here if you need anything. Again, if you have questions about classes, what your kids are learning in class, if this is the best fit for your kid, I want to have a conversation with you. Please feel free to reach out. Email, best way to get me. Facebook message, Instagram message. Even if you want a phone call, if you send me those, then I can set up a time with you to chat on the phone with either me or your instructor or Miss Sarah or somebody who can be knowledgeable and can help you. Sound good? Have a good one, everybody. I will see you in the studio.